Getting into the Dummies book cover project, and I just wanted to go over kind of how to make your little dummy man. And we're going to use shapes, but we're also going to use the pen tools. So I'm going to kind of talk about both of those options. First off, let's look at how we can draw shapes that are, I guess, combined from multiple shapes. So for instance, right here, this is a half circle. Well, kind of. So if I click and hold my shapes and choose my ellipse tool, and I've got it set to a black fill and a black stroke, I'm going to draw my little half circle here, or my circle here. Then I'm going to draw a rectangle on top of that. Now, if I just draw the rectangle like normal, when you're on your normal, it's going to make a new layer. So for instance, if I drew this rectangle, it would make a new layer. I don't want it to make a new layer though. I want that rectangle to be used to cut this circle. So I'm going to undo that and show you the way to do that, to accomplish that. So you're going to take this little button here that says new layer. You're going to choose combine shapes. And so now if I draw this rectangle, it actually did it on the same layer here, see, as the ellipse. It's all one layer. Now, if I click off of it here with my move tool, see, it's like one shape. But it's still editable as separate shapes if I wanted it to be. Now, the other thing that's cool here is, and what we want to do is not to merge those together like that, but to subtract them. Now, again, when you're drawing the shape, you can't be set on new layer. I messed this up earlier. I had it set on new layer and then tried to change it. You can't do it that way. So you want to make sure it draws on the same layer. So you have it on combined shapes to begin with, but if you switch it to subtract from shape, it subtracts that front shape. Now again, if I take my move tool, it will move as just this little part. So if I'm dealing with my little man here at this point, I can control T, get my transform, and I can turn this around and then okay. And now I've got that little half circle there. Okay. Now I'm going to suggest to you that you're going to want to create your little man all in a group, or when you're done with it, put it in a group. And I'll talk about that here in a minute. All right, so to create the head, it's a triangle kind of. It's like a triangle, but then there's a little kind of extra little stuff happening up here at the top. That's going to be a good candidate for the pen tool. Now, when I'm drawing with the pen tool here, I do want to create a new shape, so I do want to make sure it's on new layer, and I don't want to intersect with this shape, so I want to draw out here in the open space. So now this one I don't want to fill, so I'm going to tell it, well, I do. I want a white fill. Oops. And yeah, here I just made the change that I should warn you about. Definitely whenever you do change, you've got to make sure you're clicked off of the current shape. So I can choose those things while I'm clicked off of that other one, but if I'm clicked on the other one, then it changed it. We don't want to do that. Okay, now that I've got it set to a white fill and black stroke, I'm going to create my triangle. Now I can edit this so it doesn't have to be perfect. I usually draw it really big and then size it down too. So I'm going to click at the bottom and let go. Now, if you click and you let go, you can't really see it, but what's going to happen is whenever you click again, it's going to connect the dots. Okay, so I'm going to click again and it connected my dots. And then I'm going to click again because I'm kind of creating this like section here to kind of create the, it's not an ear, but you know. All right, and then I'm going to come down here like the forehead. I don't know what that is. And then again, kind of up. And then again, kind of over. Kind of create that other part. And then I guess I'm ready to come down here and close it off. And then that creates the actual shape. Now, again, you want to make sure you're drawing shapes and not paths, because if you draw a path, you're going to be, you're not going to have, you know, it's not an actual shape. I won't draw a shape over here. Now, I think if you're on path, there is a button over here to switch it to shape, so you can transform it into shape. All right, I'm going to click here to my black arrow and switch it to a white arrow, and that's going to let me click on these points and I can move them around. So, you know, if I wanted to move this around, I could. Now, of course, I could just take the black arrow, pick up the old path, and scoot it. So if I was going to try to, you know, put this in the right spot, I could do that. But if I want to move just the spots, then that's going to be the white arrow. So if this face is too, you know, wide, then I can click and let go and then click and drag, and I can pull in on these points a little bit. That's just, you know, really all about how you want your thing to look. And they don't have to look the same. Now, we want kind of the same idea here when we're creating our little dummy guys, but I don't expect everybody's to look completely identical. I mean, I want yours to look a little different. Now, here, notice this is going behind this shape. That's just because of the order. So I'm just going to pull it up to the top, and we'll call this face. Now my hair needs to be behind this if I draw it kind of like this guy. Now I'm not going to draw mine like this guy. But if I were going to, I would probably use the pen tool because it would be really easy. So again, click off of one of your current layers just because it's kind of easier. And then you just click, let go, click, let go, click, let go, click, let go, click, let go. And you just like literally, drawing a flat top or whatever is kind of the easiest thing ever. You just kind of do it and then kind of come in and come over. It kind of looks like a crown. But if I was, oops, I didn't close it off. You want to get that little circle and close it off. Now I forgot to change my color here, so if I wanted to make this, be black to match. So if I was doing this, I could do this sort of a thing. I could Control T and size it down and get it, set up however I want it to be. I could even move the points, so if it's still not exactly how I want it, I can, change it. But that's how I would do if I was just trying to make it look like that guy, sort of. But I'm going to do it a little bit differently. So say I was going to draw a girl, then I would take my pen tool and I can create curves. So if I'm creating a curve, I would click and then let go. And then up here, I'm going to click, but I'm not going to let go. I'm going to drag. So click and drag. You get these, they're called tangent handles that are out here. And so I've got my little handle there. Now, because of this handle, I can see, like, if I were to come down here, it's going to follow the same curve. So, like, but I don't want to do that. So let's say I'm trying to make sort of like little curls or whatever. And if I want it to go the other direction, I can grab a hold of this handle. And I got to hold down Alt to grab a hold of the handle to turn it this way and then let go. And then I can create the next one. So this is going to give me kind of like a curl, kind of, sort of. And then if I wanted to do the same thing again, I'm going to hold down Alt and move the tangent handle. I kind of make V's. And then I could go again. And then if I wanted to come down further, just click. And if I don't click and drag, I don't get a tangent handle. So you kind of have to decide. So if I click and drag, I get my tangent handle. If I click and drag, I can still have a tangent handle. And if it's not going the way I want, then I hold down Alt to move that handle so the next one's going to go. Now, this would be some weird looking hair here if this is really what's going on. Now, let's say I'm about done here. Then I'm going to click it and then come over. Oops, I should have made that have a tangent handle and I didn't, but that's okay. And then let's say this is going to be a weird looking lady, but that's fine. Okay, now I'm going to seal it off. There we go. So let's say that's my hair. Let me turn off this other one so we aren't confused. All right, so now I've got this going on. I can use my pen tool and I have different options in here. So like the convert anchor point will let me convert any of these points that don't have handles. So like this one was straight. So I can click on it to convert it and now it has little handles. And I can grab a hold of those handles with my white arrow tool and move them. I'm going to click on this one. And I really kind of, on this one, I want one side of it to be sort of straight. So I'm going to grab a hold of that tangent handle that way. And then this one, I'm not going to grab a hold of with that. I'm just going to use my white arrow. And then I can just use it to move these around. So trying to make this look a little bit more like the other side, kind of. I mean, does anybody's hair really look identical on both sides? No. All right, so here's my really weird lady hair that I've created. And then, of course, if I wanted her to be blonde or whatever, I can just pick my colors. And there we go. Let's turn the face back on and get some hair into position here. Oops, I need to switch to the move tool here and move it into place. Now, so if you're doing a girl who has like bangs and stuff, you're probably going to then want your hair to be in front, right? So hair, I can move it up in front of the face so I get that kind of thing. And then Control T, because like I said, I always just draw everything like huge because it's just easier for me to draw big and then scale it down. All right, so I'll say there's my lady. Make sure her forehead's covered there with her amazing hair. Now, like I said before, we can still draw other shapes that connect with that shape. So let's say that I just don't like this at all and I wanted it to have like a more circular bit there or something. So let's say I'm going to draw an ellipse and kind of merge it in with some of this hair in the middle or whatever. So what I'm going to do here, instead of new layer, again, while I'm on my hair layer, I'm going to click on that combine shapes and then I can draw my circle kind of in here. And that's going to combine those shapes. So if I click off of it now, see now it's one funny little bit of hair. Now, if you want to commit that shape to be like a final shape forever kind of thing, you can click on merge the shape components. and it'll turn it. It won't be live where you can edit it anymore, but it'll turn it into a regular path. I'm not going to, but you can do that too. Okay. All right. Now, continuing on here, if I was going to go on and continue, I would create my eyeballs and stuff. And so, that I want that to be on its own layer. I don't want to combine shapes to do that. So I'm going to draw my eyeball and then draw the other part of the eyeball. That, of course, part's going to be filled in black. And now, if you want to group your items, you can take your path selection. And that's why I drew this over here. Just draw around both of them. And, well, sometimes it gets it and sometimes it doesn't. So if it doesn't immediately grab both, see if I can find them both. You can hold down Shift, and if they're on adjacent layers, click Shift, and then they're both selected. And then you can group those. So up here under Layer, you can group the layer, and you can also just press Control G. But that just put that together. So that's like an eyeball. Okay. Now, if we go back to our Move tool, where it says auto select, it's set to auto select the group. Now yours may be set to auto select the layer. You gotta be careful, because if we auto select the layer, I'm gonna move that out of there. If we auto select the group, I can't. It'll move as one. And that's kind of what I'm after here. So I'm gonna print Control T here and size this down and get my eyeball whatever size I want it to be. Just press enter. Easiest way to commit those changes. And then, of course, I can copy to get my other one. You can hold down Alt and drag to make a copy. That's the easiest way to copy these guys. And so then I've got that going on. Now, if I'm going to create like my nose and stuff using my pen tool, because that's the easiest way to just click, 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 you click, 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 and then just press enter. And then that kind of finishes your path. Now, if you want to draw a little smiley mouth, click, and then click a second time, but don't let go, drag. There we go. And then we get some sort of a little smile, and we hit enter. And then there's my little smile. And I don't know what this particular person would even be used for, but let's say that's what I'm looking for. So here's my mouth, and here's my nose. All right, and so once you've got let's just pretend I'm done. Once you've got your whole person made, at this point, you want to take the whole person and put them all into one group. So click the top layer and hold Shift and click the bottom layer. That selects all of them. Control G is how we group. And so now I have my dummy guy or gal, and then it's in its own separate thing. So now if I go to my Move tool and I'm set to auto select the group, I could pick up my person, move my person around. Now, you're certainly allowed to add props. So the only thing I'm going to say is I would like the props to kind of look like they go. So since these dummy people generally are made from basic shapes, your props should be pretty basic too. Looking for like silhouettes of things. If I was doing like golfing for dummies or something, then I could go in here and, just look for a golf tee or whatever. And look for one that maybe is black. That might be a good way to go about it. Just get something that's already in black and white. Like here's one. And sometimes you can copy and paste and sometimes you can't. I'm going to try it because I'm running low on time here and see if I can get it in there. But edit, paste. Yeah, see, it doesn't work sometimes. But if you save it and open it, you can then drag it in. You already know how to use like your background eraser to remove the white background if it has a white background on it. But be able, put other things in there. If I was talking about having amazing eyebrows for dummies, then I definitely need to have some really good eyebrows going on here. So I might find some nice, clip art of really nice shaped eyebrows, or I might draw them with my pen tool, and pop those on there on my person. Your person could even have a little body, and some of the little dummies people do. If you type in dummies guy, that's usually what I type in. You're going to see all these little dummy guys in here. And not very often do they have bodies. I guess because I have it on black and white, I'm not seeing them all. But there are some that do have little bodies on there. So think about, adding a shirt to yours and then decorating the shirt. Or you can see here some cool ones too. So have fun with this. Try to do something cool. I look forward to seeing what your dummies look like on your dummies book cover.